anticipation of the release of Baldur's Gate 3, we've been covering some character building basics for the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. In previous videos, we introduced the playable races and classes from the player handbook. I've linked those videos in the top right corner, so be sure to check those out if you're looking for a full breakdown of every race and class. This week, we're taking a closer look at the basic concepts you should know before you roll your first character. Please keep in mind that there are no restrictions on how you build your characters in 5th edition. However, certain combinations of races and skills are going to be more effective than others. For the purposes of this series, we're looking at character optimization. To stay up to date on the latest BG3 news, or to learn more about the 5th edition rule set that BG3 is based on, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss anything. The general steps that you'll take to build a character are choose a race, a class, determine your starting ability scores, and select a background. There are some basic mechanics you should understand in order to make the best selections for each of these categories. Most importantly is your ability score distribution. You'll have a base score for each of the 6 abilities. The base score is determined by one of 3 methods: randomly rolling dice, standard array, or the point buy system. For BG3, they have confirmed that you'll be able to choose between the point buy and the rolling method. That starting score will then be combined with your racial bonus to give you your ability score. Your ability score determines your ability modifier, which is the bonus your character receives for ability checks of that type. I recommend that you aim for at least a 16 in your primary ability after racial bonuses in order to get the highest starting modifier bonus of +3. What is a primary ability? It's the ability that the majority of your character's skills and spells are based on, and is determined by your class. For example, a rogue's primary ability is dexterity, as many rogues employ the use of sleight of hand and stealth, and they add their dex score to attack and damage rolls for certain weapons. While a bard's primary ability is charisma, which not only helps them with skills such as persuasion and performance, but also is their spellcasting ability, meaning they gain bonuses to spellcasting based on their charisma score. Also note that if you intend to multi-class, there are minimum requirements in certain abilities based on the class. You'll need to plan for this at character creation. When you level up, you'll have the option to take your next level in a different class. When you do so, you will gain certain new proficiencies associated with that class. There is no limit to the number of classes you can level into, and you can choose to level into a different class for a while and then go back to your original class if you choose. What you need to understand is that there is a difference between your character level, which is the overall total number of levels your character has, and your class level, which is the number of levels you have in a specific class. For example, you could be a 5th level character but be a 3rd level cleric and a 2nd level wizard. Class features are dependent on the number of levels you take in that class. So for the example given, even though this character is 5th level, they would not have the 5th level cleric ability Destroy Undead because they only have 3 levels of the cleric class. Multi-classing can be a very powerful approach when done correctly, but you'll need to do your homework in order to achieve an optimal build. You'll also need to know that your dexterity score will impact your AC, which stands for armor class. This is your character's ability to avoid an attack. When a character is targeted with an attack, the attack roll value must meet or exceed the value of the target's AC in order to land. Your AC is determined by a few different factors, which we won't cover all of them here because many are based on specific class features. The basics you should know, though, are that for a character not wearing any armor or carrying a shield, their AC is calculated as 10 plus their dexterity modifier. There are many armor types to choose from, ranging from light to heavy, each offering varying degrees of protection. Note that all heavy armor and some medium armor do impose disadvantage on stealth, and in order to wear armor, your character must be proficient in that armor type. Another ability score that is important for everyone is Constitution, as it determines your hit points. Your hit points will be calculated by adding your Constitution modifier to your starting hit points based on your class. So let's talk a little bit about proficiency. Characters can be proficient in many types of things in D&D, and they get to add their proficiency bonus when making ability rolls and checks for things they are proficient in. Some examples include attack rolls for spells and weapons, ability checks for skills and the use of tools, and for saving throws and when determining your spell save DC. What you are proficient in is mainly determined by your class selection. However, you can also gain additional proficiencies based on the background you select. and some races offer additional proficiencies as well. The bonus you receive from that proficiency is based on your character level and increases as you level up. For the purposes of Baldur's Gate 3, you don't need to understand how all of the calculations work, but you should understand the overall premise, and that is that proficiency bonus is vital for building an optimal character. You'll want to be strategic during character creation by selecting the right combination of race, class, and background to ensure you are proficient in the weapon, armor types, and skills for the build and play style you want to achieve. The next topic is spellcasting. In tabletop gameplay, new players are generally discouraged from playing full caster classes as it can be a bit overwhelming to learn all of the rules. While we don't know exactly how spellcasting will work yet in Baldur's Gate 3, I imagine it will be implemented in a way that is accessible for all experience levels. I'll be releasing in-depth guides for each of the classes individually, and for those classes that have access to spellcasting, I'll discuss more in depth at that time, but for now, we will cover a few basics you should know. In order to cast a spell, it must be memorized or prepared depending on your class. Each class has different rules on how they learn and prepare spells. In order to cast a spell, you have to spend a spell slot. Your spell slots are determined by your level and your class. Spells vary in levels, and as you level up, you'll gain access to higher level spells. Level 0 spells are called cantrips, and they do not require the use of a spell slot. These can be cast an infinite number of times. Some spells require an attack roll and others a saving throw. For attack rolls, you roll your spell attack and you add your spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus, the total of which must meet or exceed the target's AC. For saving throws, the target character must roll a saving throw, the total of which must meet or exceed your character's spell save DC. Your spell save DC is calculated as 8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus. So the higher your spell save DC, the harder it is for enemies to resist your spell. Again, you don't need to calculate all of this for the purposes of BG3, but I wanted to explain so that you understand a little bit more how your modifiers and proficiencies will impact the effectiveness of your character. If you found this video useful, please hit the thumbs up. It's a huge help for me growing my small channel. Also, consider subscribing for more 5th edition basics and more Baldur's Gate 3 news and commentary.